All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell. You're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, streaming around the world on classic1220.ca, as well as you're listening to us on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and the list goes on and on and on and on. 35 years plus, and we are still here, bringing you the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology. Explanation, my guest this hour is Dean McMURRAY, and he is known as the military medium. And Dean, welcome back to the show. Always great talking to you, my friend. How are things going in your neck of the woods?
Rob, it's so great to be back on the program, and I just got to say, you know, when I was listening to the intro music there was taking me back to my childhood, thinking about Doug and the Slugs, if you remember them from the 80s.
Oh my gosh, Doug and the Slugs.
Little flash from the past there. But I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Good. And is there anything new, thrilling, and exciting with you with everything that is going on in the world today with President Trump?
Oh, good. You're opening up a can of worms there.
Oh, yeah, I like fishing, buddy. I like fishing.
Right. Well, you know, there's so much going on in the world, right? And so I know that you guys are just hot off the heels of your own election. We have the Pope's passing, so that trifecta of all these things going on in the world. And quite honestly, Rob, a lot of times I almost just have to not tune it out, but almost disconnect from it, because as you probably well know, those that do a lot of this type of work tend to be very highly empathic, and this kind of chaos just can be overwhelming. But I think it's good to be aware of what's going on, and you know, I always say, what are the people, places, and things around you in your environment? How's it affecting you? And yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing pretty good, and just really focusing on what's in front of me and helping the people that need it. And so yeah, we're doing all right.
Glad to hear that, my friend. And I don't think people realize that mediums are people. Now, I know that's a funny thing to say, but they believe that you people have extraordinary Superman powers because you can communicate with those on the other side. But here you are. You are just like everybody else, but you've got that gift. And people, I think, at times expect way too much out of you. And you people need your rest. You need the ability to gather up the information that so many people are depending on you to explain to them. So how do you protect yourself? How does Dean take care of Dean?
That's a good question. I think it varies day to day. Number one, I would always say is, you know, setting good boundaries.
Yeah.
So if it's something where I'm like totally wiped out, or now I'm feeling ill or whatever, you know, these are all aspects of, dare I say it, being human, right?
Yes.
We're the spirit having this earthly experience, you know, and so I honor that. So if I'm feeling off, maybe I need to have a down day, or maybe I need to pick up a fishing rod and I need to go down to the lake, or take my kids fishing, or take the wife out to dinner, or do the things that that I enjoy doing, spending time on in nature, or whatever that might be. Exercising, that's huge for me. Moving my body each and every day, and then grounding, all the things. But really, honestly, Rob, it changes from day to day, in environment to environment. So I'm just always keeping apprised of the situation at hand. So,
well, first of all, my friend, thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
Because it's a decision that you made. It's a choice that you made.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't believe that the majority of people realize the sacrifice that people who join the military, join law enforcement, join those who serve others, how it affects them personally. So thank you so much for whatever, what you've done and how it's affected you and your family. And man.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think the honor was all mine, is the way that I like to think of it. The honor was all mine because I volunteered to do it, and the same with everybody else. Maybe there's the few exceptions that, either go in the military or go to jail. But, the aspect of come from a big military family. It wasn't expected, but it was very much supported. And, fun fact, my dad served in the Canadian Air Force up in Winnipeg and other areas. And so, in fact, since we live close to Winnipeg, my son and I actually made it back for the centennial anniversary, and got to kind of go up and check some areas out, and kind of homage to my dad, who is in spirit now. But it was kind of neat reconnecting in that aspect. Of course, I was never in the picture, of course, when they were stationed in Canada and in the other areas. I was born in the States, but so it was kind of fun, something that I could pass along to my son and continue that fun tradition.
Tell me, how did you get the moniker, the military medium?
Well, it really was at Walmart, and they were
at Walmart.
No, I always joke that I saw a T-shirt that said the military medium. No, but really, Rob, what it is truly that moniker of marrying the two parts of my life. Retired after 24 years in the United States Army, and then in my last 3 years of military service is when I had my spiritual awakening, where my grandmother in spirit came to me and basically, kicked my butt, and in a sense, nicely, and said, hey, you need to figure out, what this means for you, and to get your abilities under control, because, hey, you got 3 years before you retire, Dean. You got people to help. And, and so, it was the natural progression of things of going, hey, here I have the first half of my adult life as, being in the military, and then all of a sudden becoming a psychic medium. I mean, it's like, a big left turn there at Albuquerque, so to speak, as Bugs Bunny used to say. And but the two came together, and it was really quite, where it was a perfect blend of the two. And the military medium was born, so to speak, and we're getting to do some great opportunities, just like being on programs just like yours, Rob.
Dean, when did you first realize that you could actually talk to spirits or those who had left this reality or this dimension and gone to the others?
Sure. I think that was probably about 13 years ago. So, that's when everything kicked off for me. And like I said earlier, is I was in my last 3 years of military service, and I had just come back from a deployment, and all the paranormal activity started happening. My grandmother came to give me a visit, and basically, I call it the come to Jesus moment, and it basically scared the bejesus out of me. And it was at that moment or after those moments when messages just started coming. So it was kind of like the messenger before everything kicked off. And it was quite literally like, Rob, the experience that I had in the very beginning. It was so frustrating because it was quite literally like having a very old school message machine in my head, constantly full of messages, but going beep, beep, when the old ones where they'd sit there and beep at you until you rewound it and then listen to the to the messages. But at that point I didn't know how to access the message, because it was very much still in my head. I thought, do you have to do something special? How do I get these messages? And it wasn't until that I sought out a local psychic and my area, and I was really frustrated because I was like, how the heck am I supposed to get a hold of this stuff? And she was like, yep, you're a medium, and we're gonna do some exercises to see where you're at. And then she suggested basically that I take a class in mediumship through a person from the area. And lo and behold, I did. And I learned some great techniques of accessing what was already there, and I guess is the best way to describe it. And it was just like drinking from a fire hydrant. Once I started,
Really?
It was just like I couldn't shut it off.
Wow. We've got about 30 seconds before I have to go to my break. What was it like the first time that you really connected with someone on the other side?
Yeah, I was really blown away. It was actually kind of given a test reading to that psychic that I referred to, and I connected to her husband's deceased mom. Wow. And when she validated everything that I talked about, I was just like, holy crap. Like, that's real. I'm not making this up. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of gobstruck at it because sometimes I got to pinch myself. Is this really happening? So,
well, don't pinch yourself too hard, because you and I still have to come back and do a segment on the other side of this break. Explanation, our special guest of this hour is Dean McMURRAY, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, my special guest, Dean McMURRAY, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and of course, your hometown radio, classic1220.ca.
Don't give me no hand-me-down world. I got one already. Anybody here see the long-distance cheer?
Hello, honey, it's me. What did you think when you heard me back on the radio? What did the kids say when they knew it was their long-lost daddy? Oh, remember how we listened to the radio, and I said that's the place to be, and how I got the job as an FM jock the day you married me. It was 2 kids and I was into AM rock, but I just had to run around. It's been ages since I left you, babe. Let me tell you about what's gone down. I am a morning DJ at WOLD.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the Lonely DJ of the X-Zone Broadcast Network, X-Zone Radio TV show. And, of course, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, streaming around the world on Classic1220.ca. My guest is Dean McMURRAY. And Dean, what was it like being in the military, having these gifts that you have?
It was like having unwrapping the best Christmas present, not being able to tell anybody about it. It's probably the best way I can describe it, because I was so excited about, what I've uncovered or what I was embarking on. But there was such a big aspect of me at that time that was worried what other people were going to think. Because by this time, I had earned the respect of, higher ranking officers, non-commissioned officers. So, I was kind of worried about becoming, quote unquote, that guy, and it wasn't, so here, I only uncovered the full truth by bits and pieces, and it wasn't until the very end, right before I retired, that I, just kind of, as I call it, fully came out of the metaphysical closet and was like, what are they going to do? Bend my dog tags, make me go home, scrub the toilets for a few days, so, but yeah, so it was kind of like having this, being like a giddy kid and going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm having this experience, and not being able to share it fully was kind of a challenge. But of course, I had very supportive family. I'm very thankful for that. My wife, my kids, and of course, my mom and dad and everybody. So they were very supportive.
What does your wife and your kids think about their dad being the military medium?
Well, my daughter, at the time, she's a freshman in college now, but she just rolled her eyes and, kind of the whatever. And my son, who could be a linebacker for an NFL team, he's this, kind of a bull in a china shop. So I don't know if he really slows down to really pay attention. He hasn't really said anything. But honestly, Rob, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be a medium today.
I know that feeling well.
There has been, they always say behind every great man, there's even greater woman.
That is true.
And I will give my wife all the due credit to that, because the aspect of, there were so many times that I was going to walk away from it, saying, holy crap, this is such a journey of, some of the challenges, going through what they call the dark night of the soul, and going, why the heck would I even do this? Why am I not working? Because my original plan was to work for the Veterans Administration. That was my big plan right after the military, and serve the veterans that I serve with, right, in that community. And but I knew in my gut somehow, and with my wife's support, she's like, that's not the direction. You can do whatever you want to do, but that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And I go, yep, I know, and it sucks. And and because sometimes it's you just know. And so yeah, she's always been the course corrector for me, and giving me that loving kick in the behind when I need it, because I can still be a hard-headed SOB, and
can't we all?
Yeah, those things. Yeah. So yeah, I can still be the typical guy, but at the same time, it's she, and she does energy work as well. We both do work, energy work full time, and so her intuitive insight at times, even when when I hear her go, do you want my opinion? I'm like, you're going to give it to me anyways. But I know that even if I'm not prepared to receive it, that I will I will take it in. And, you know, going back a little bit, Rob, the actual title or moniker, military medium, what I didn't call myself that in the beginning. I called myself psychic medium Dean McMURRAY. But it was my wife who said, you need to call yourself the military medium. This was early on, right after I, you know, did all the business stuff. And
Right.
I said, no, that just sounds silly. And, and you know, little did I know, I wasn't in that mind, you know, that sense of
Yeah.
mind at that point. And then several years down the road, I knew that I needed to rebrand and to be in a different space energetically. And I started sitting with it, and I kept on coming back to the military medium. And it's kind of like oh, she's right. So, you know, it's like one of those things that it might have taken a few years to get there, but it's just like, see, I told you so, you know. So kind of like karma and intuition will always come back. Will always show it was correct in the beginning. So just listen.
What's it like for you as a medium as you get the messages from the other side as to the work that you're doing, the great work that you're doing to help to bridge the feelings between this side and the other side, especially in today's society,
Right.
when you've got so much political interference, the geopolitical world is all screwed
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
and yet you deal with those who have given themselves freely in order to protect and ensure democracy for others.
Yeah. Well, quite honestly, I work with people of all diverse backgrounds, so not just only, you know, Gold Star families, those family members that have lost a service member in the line of duty, or military members themselves, you know, losing other buddies or coworkers or whomever,
Sure.
you know, regardless. But connecting, it does make it more challenging because you're working on several levels, as you well know, but tempered with the aspect of you got to have a bit of a good bedside manner. I've been told that I'm the Mike Rowe of mediums. I'm not sure about that. I don't have the voice that Mike Rowe has. If you guys have watched his Dirty Jobs,
Yes,
the deep
definitely.
bravado, but
Yep.
the thing, I guess, what strikes people with folks with me is that I tell it like it is, and you know, I'm not filtering anything, and I just come from that, you know, the aspect of my mom always told me, you know, just growing up is, you know, just find a way to keep yourself humble, and you know, and to do things that rebalances you, I guess would be a great word. And I always think about that regardless of what life throws at me and what I'm doing as a medium, or, you know, quite honestly, you know, there was times early on when I was doing readings that I actually worked as a painter and staining, worked for a business for a while. But it's in all forms of work or life that I like, for me personally, like to think of how can I recenter or rebalance myself regardless of what I'm doing. And I think it's even more important when I'm doing mediumship work because I'm connecting to so much varied different levels of stuff. You know, one moment I could be talking to a grieving family, you know, losing their children in a
Right,
car
yeah.
accident, and another time it's a deceased, could be a soldier that, you know, died in Iraq or whatever. You know, the scenario is always varied. You never know what you know, is going to happen or what you're going to get next.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the proverbial Forrest Gump box of chocolates. You know, you truly don't know what you're going to get. And so it's the aspect of trying to find something that brings you back to center. And for me, it's family. Saying, it's where can I recenter my life? How can I recenter me?
So, are you getting more and more interventions from the other side these days than you have in the past, or how does it work? There's so much turmoil in the world today. There is so much when it comes to what is happening politically in the United States. The other side, are they just keeping quiet, or are they just letting their feelings be known?
Well, when you say intervention, that brings up a whole host of questions. But I think the way that, if you were to even look at my social media presence, it's been really, actually, somebody made a comment today, and it's like, geez, Dean, where you been? You've been really quiet. And quite honestly, I think I've gotten burnt out. And because trying to maintain that social media presence, but the aspect and still maintain of being of service to others, which I have never stopped. But the aspect I would share is that I have focused more on, that information is out there, but what I have chosen to do is focus on the individual instead of
The masses.
like a global message. Sure. I was for quite some time, and I did it on and off for a number of years, was called Monday Messages with Spirit, right, from the military medium. And basically what that was, it was a community style reading to kind of hopefully set up, reading for your week. And it was more of, I was just listening to Spirit of like, what are like 4 things that you want me to do or know to share with everybody. And then usually at the very end, then, Spirit kind of came in and early on and kind of said, hey, I want to bring to your attention the people that are having this pain.
Hey, Dean, I hate to be a party pooper, but I have to take my break, so please stand
Absolutely.
by. Explanation, our very special guest this hour is Dean McMURRAY, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada.
I am a morning DJ at WOLD. Playing all the hits for you, wherever you may be. The bright
How do I get through one night without you? If I had to live without you, what kind of life would that be? Oh, and I need you in my arms, need you to hold. You're my world, my heart, my soul. If you ever leave, baby, you would take away everything.
Welcome back to X Zone Nation. I've received a couple of emails about saying, Rob, what's wrong tonight? I guess I can't hide it very well. As you know, X Zone Nation, last year Laura and I became the proud parents of an adoptive little conure. That's a parrot. And when we brought Conure home, he was he was so small. And he adored Laura. And I don't blame him. I adore Laura. And it was so sad today because for some reason, when I was taking Sophie out earlier this morning, we came back home and Connor had passed away. He was only a year old. That little bird brought so much love into this home that he is truly missed. There's a hole here. So I apologize, Exo Nation, for being a little bit off kilter today. But I hope that over the years you've come to know me that this is what happens when something seriously touches my heart. So thank you, Exo Nation, for understanding. My guest this hour is Dean McMURRAY, the military medium. And where does the moniker medium come from?
Yeah. Well, and before I answer that, I just want to say, my condolences to you and your wife on your loss. I know that our fur and feather friends can be so much part of our family.
They are.
And,
they truly are. And I appreciate that, my friend.
So the moniker, the medium aspect, of course, is just the psychic medium, right? So, going back to the description of, a medium being a person that connects to and communicates with those that have crossed over into the spirit realm. Bringing the two of being, the military and medium. So if it was referring to a shirt, it would be military extra large, but no such luck.
When you were in the military and people found out that you had this gift, did they ask you for guidance? Did they ask you to communicate with the other side, or did they just kind of foo-foo it?
Well, that's really interesting because, as I shared earlier, was right before I retired, I kind of came fully out in what I was doing. And there was some that were really, really intrigued of me, being a medium. And others kind of did the proverbial, I'll pray for you, and turned around and did a about face and got out of Dodge, so to speak. When it comes down to it, it was just a reminder to me, Rob, that regardless of industry, regardless of what we do for a job, if you will, owning that label, people are people. And so how they react, people can, you have a lot of different reactions, but no, did they reach out? Only a few, and that was way after the fact, because they were like, hey, and it was kind of under the cover. They didn't want anybody to know, like, hey, are you still doing that? Are you still talking to spirits? And, so it was kind of, trying to, they didn't want everybody to know, so to speak. And so they were still living in that world. And I guess once they figured out that it wasn't just a flash in the pan for Dean, they're probably thinking, man, he retired, and your mind just goes. He must have just went crazy. And many years went by, and I'm still doing it. And so yeah, there's been a few that have reached out to me over the years, and I'm always happy to chat with them and see what's going on and see if I can help them. But some, they're just like, nope, have a nice life, and that's all right too.
Dean, a lot of what you've done is because of your grandmother, who now has passed on to the other side. Do you still communicate with your grandmother? And does she still guide you?
Great questions. Yeah, she does. She still is very much, she's always been a big proponent in my life, even before she crossed over. When that was back in the 80s when she passed. And, so yeah, she'll always be a big part of my life, especially in the afterlife, as far as like help guiding me and everything like that. So, I haven't probably gotten a direct message from her in quite some time. So it's interesting you bring that up. I think we just passed her birthday not too long ago. So it's always kind of interesting how that stuff works. But the thing that I would share is that she's always part of me. I know that she's always guiding me, whether I'm directly in conversation or channeling a message from her directly.
With all the experience you have with, communicating with the other side, what is the other side like?
From what I understand and from what I've gathered from readings over the years, it's different for everybody. Some spirits have shown me the iconic pearly gates and the colors that you can't even put labels to. Absolutely beautiful, right? Others I've seen where it's more of a user-created reality, and where people are, if they were an avid, say, fisherman, and they were out constantly fishing and drinking beer, something that they enjoy doing. So the afterlife, from what I understand, is more of what you understand, kind of a user-created reality. That's my understanding of what the other side is. But really, when we get down to it and boil it down to just bare bones, it's just another plane of existence and parallel, existence to ours. It's sometimes hard to fathom that, but it's, that there's multiple planes of existence, all around us.
When it comes to the other side, does religion play a part, or when we get to that point where we're trying to communicate with the other side, it's all one?
Yeah, I think it can. Again, I'm going to go back to it's up to the individual, because we get into an aspect of going, you must be religious, because if you're not speaking from something that is from heaven, then you're communicating with demons or fallen angels or whatever. And the aspect is, what I guess the short answer I'd say is, if you're religious, then I'm going to say yes. It serves a big purpose. I was raised very much Protestant.
Yes.
I was married in a Baptist church, and I, went to a Lutheran church. So, a lot of different religious backgrounds there. But there's so many religions in the world. There's not just one or two. And the thing that I would share is, if somebody is religious or not religious, does that bar them from communicating in some way? Absolutely not. I believe in my heart of hearts that we all have this ability, regardless of our beliefs or non-beliefs. But if you have a deeper sense of connection to what we understand as heaven, or the other side in some way, then it's going to help, versus if you're always in disbelief.
If somebody listening tonight is saying, well, how can I do this? How can I communicate with the other side? What advice would you tell them?
That's a good question. The first thing that I would say is, I'll always go back to reading. Reading is the most number one, still is today, most number one readily available resource, and it's still the cheapest, because as long as you have a public library or pick up a book somewhere, metaphysical, and you can learn about different techniques or stories, whatever. The other thing that I would share is find a group of individuals that you can help develop your intuition, your abilities through. These usually come in the form of intuition circles, mediumship circles. Check in with your local metaphysical or rock shops, or reach out to a local psychic. Just let Google do your
Sure.
your walking, so to speak. But or there's places online. I would say is use your intuition. If something feels off, then it's off. Just means that doesn't mean that they got hiding bodies in the basement. It just means you're not in alignment with that group or individual. So continue seeking. So a lot of times we walk around looking for just exactly what you like. God, I'd really love to take a class. Where can I do that? And so many of us, end up teaching. But if you resonate with somebody, reach out and say, or look at their websites. Are they offering classes? Or if they're not, reach out and ask them, hey, are you offering classes, or do you know somebody that is? Or ask your local area too. I know people on social media, what do they do? Those polls or whatever.
Yes.
Like, hey, what do you guys know for good spiritual classes out there, or mediumship classes? Some people don't want to put it out there that they're wanting to develop their abilities, but what I would share is it's much easier when we're around like-minded individuals, and we can have fun and we can develop it in a safe space, and that's another aspect too.
Explanation. My guest this hour is Dean McMURRAY. His website is themilitarymedium.com, and Dean and I will be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up tonight's show here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Whatever you do, don't go away.
Baby, you would take away everything good in my life. Without you, there'd be no sun in my sky. There would be no love. I don't know how to love him. What to do, how to move him. I've been changed, yes, really changed. In these past few days, when I've seen myself, I seem like someone else. I don't know how to take this. I don't see why he moves me. He's a man. He's just a man. And I've had so many men before, in very many ways. He's just one more.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the final segment of tonight's show. First of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us here on the X Zone. It's always so great to join you here, whether you're listening to us on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, or driving throughout Ontario, the states of New York and Pennsylvania, listening to us on AM 1220 CFAJ. That's classic1220.ca, streaming us on classic1220.ca. My guest this hour, X Zone Nation, is Dean McMURRAY, and his website is themilitarymedium.com. First of all, Dean, as always, a great pleasure having you here with us on the show. And I have to ask you, have you noticed any difference in the requests by people when they want to communicate with those on the other side? Are the questions the same, or do the times in which we live affect the questions that are asked to the other side?
That's a really good question. No, I don't. I think it's unique to the individual and what they're going through, because everybody's going through something a bit different, and so whether somebody's hoping to connect to somebody that just crossed over and to see if they're in approval with their life or their life choices, to, somebody asking whether they should move or whatever the case is. It's some of it is spurred by, recent global activities,
Right.
but I would share is that I think that, and what I have found is that it's pretty unique unto the individual and their situation that they're going through. So, and it's not always the same. It's like, oh, here we go again. But at the end of the day, I think, Rob, is that what I have found is that we're all looking for validation at some level. And that we truly want to be seen. And I know that sounds kind of unique to say, because we're trying to be seen by those that most can't see, and because we're trying to connect one more time. And that's why I always kind of recenter back to, I've come up with the mantra of, helping others heal one connection at a time. And, and that's what I keep on going back to.
Has there ever been a time doing the readings that you do to, help those on this side get closure with those on the other side, that you have just been shocked and awed that you've said to yourself, my God, I can't believe that this just happened?
Yeah, there has been, over the years, there has been some very shocking, some hilarious readings as well, but also some very shocking, like, whoa, like, I'm really present for this. And, as we talked earlier, like that pinch me moment of going, holy crap, you can't make this up, of where, and so, yeah, there has been a lot of those moments. And quite literally, I find bits and pieces of that each and every day that I do this work.
Is it very hard to learn how to be a medium? Does everyone have the ability?
It's my belief that that we all have the ability, but I use the analogy of baseball, Rob, is we've all probably played the game of baseball at some level. So whether at, maybe in school or whatever, but it depends on where you want to take it. And for those that want to up their game, so to speak, and play at bigger levels, then they might have to practice even harder. But for some, they just seem naturally gifted in the game of baseball. And so I use that analogy with spiritual work, because some are just very naturally gifted in certain areas. And it's just kind of like I stepped into mediumship, or, well, it found me, but, we collided in any regards. And, I just embraced it.
Dean, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for quite some time now. And I know how legitimate you are. I know how caring you are. But how can people out there listening who haven't had the opportunity of knowing Dean, or listening to some of the other great guests we've had on the show who have the true ability to communicate with the other side, how can they be sure that whoever they're looking for is as credible as you are?
Right. Well, kind of what I went back to earlier, Rob, is ask your local community, like, who do you know in the area, maybe girlfriends, guy friends, whatever, people that like and trust, that, you trust their feedback, and or look on their website too. Granted, everybody in service industries, regardless of what you do, we're not going to be able to please everybody. Even myself, I got some bad reviews on there. But the thing that I would share is, check them out. Check out their website. Check out their social media pages. If something gives you the EBGBs, walk away. That's all right. But, ask around. It's okay to ask.
Sure it is.
But I'll always be a proponent of saying, go with your gut.
That gut feeling that we all have, and we've all experienced at one time or another. Dean, what is in your opinion, the most significant job that a medium like yourself and so many out there who actually have the gift to communicate, what do you believe that your mission is?
Wow. Well, I'd go back to helping others heal one, connection at a time.
Yeah.
And that's really why I came up with that mission. Well, it came to me, but that's why, when it was given to me, because I was like, why am I going to be doing this? And it's like, Dean, you're going to be helping others heal one connection at a time, whether that's, in a crowd of 500, if that's a crowd of one, if that's on Rob's show and somebody hears it, if that's whatever, however that message gets to them, it's the one person that makes it worth everything. And so trying to leave people better than what you found them, and really come at it from a caring and empathetic way, I believe is very important. And but I would say is again, coming at it from helping others heal, helping others find their way.
Exonation, Dean Murphy is our special guest. Dean McMURRAY is our special guest, Exonation. His website is themilitarymedium.com. And if you'd like to find out more about Dean, please visit his website at www.themilitarymedium.com. Dean, as always, it's so great having you on the show with us tonight. And I was wondering if there's some message or some meaningful advice that you could give our listeners tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. If there was one thing I could say is, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I know it sounds simple, but in this crazy world that we live in, everybody else is taken. So, be yourself and be kind, and stay true to yourself. That's, listen to your intuition. Those few things I think would keeps you close to your heart's true path. And as always, Rob, I am always honored to be on your excellent program. I always appreciate connecting to you and your listeners.
Quick question, my friend. And first of all, thank you very much for your kind comments. But those on the other side, do they give you messages to give to us on this side? What do they think about the world as it is today, and how much pain and suffering so many people are going through because of the naivety of those in power?
Yeah, quite honestly, I haven't, because that ties back in with the geopolitical climate that's going on. I really haven't had any scenarios as of yet where they're chiming in and talking about things, but sometimes when clients are dealing with maybe anxieties or whatever that's stemming from what they're, it's so individualized that it's hard to pinpoint one thing, but they're just really trying to bring a lot of sense of guidance and love and support to to their loved ones, right? Because nobody's going to tell us exactly what to do. We have the free will aspect. And geez, we know that, right? There's a lot of people making a lot of crazy decisions now.
Oh, we sure do.
But the thing that I would share is that, is finding out like how, we can't control how other people will act, but we can control how we react. And, it's having that emotional, I call it emotional, energetic and emotional maturity of being able to maintain everything within a chaos world. Just like if you think of in the middle of a firefight or combat, or firefighters in the middle of an inferno, how do they maintain their cool? How do they work through the scenario? And sometimes spirit, I work with a lot of full-time clients that have a hard time doing that because, in a lot of different industries, because of some of the stuff going on, puts them in a sad state of affairs, right? And it almost goes from being a medium and listening to spirit to leaning back on my military training and becoming kind of a coach and saying, okay, when things are chaotic and scary, what can we do to, maintain control so we can get through what we need to get through. So it's always kind of interesting. Like I said, again, I never know what tomorrow may bring. So,
all right, my friend, you and I must say so long for tonight. I want to thank you ever so much for being with us tonight, Dean. It's always a great pleasure talking to you. And X-Zone Nation, if you'd like to find out more about Dean, please visit his website, www.themilitarymedium.com. I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross this time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And we're here Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight on the Talkstar Radio Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and of course your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ here in St. Catharines, streaming us on Classic 1220.ca. So until tomorrow night, always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.